Hey there. Ready for a little trip through time?
Always up for an adventure.
Okay, great. Today we're diving deep into January 7th.
Oh, should be interesting. Lots to unpack, I bet.
You bet. We're going through a This Day in History compilation, and let me tell you, this one is jam-packed.
Sounds like fun.
It is. We've got the very first U.S. bank, a
Wow.
presidential sneeze,
A what?
a sneeze
Yeah.
caught on film. It's a whole thing. And a certain 80s music legend is having a birthday. Should we get started?
Let's do it.
All right, our first stop takes us way back to 1782,
Ooh, early days.
Philadelphia. The Bank of North America opens its doors. It was the very first commercial bank in the U.S. Can you imagine a world without ATMs?
I mean, I can barely imagine life before mobile banking.
Right. So back then, starting a national bank was a pretty big deal.
Huge. And Philadelphia was this, center of commerce and trade. Made sense for it to start there.
So it wasn't just about convenience.
Oh, no. Way bigger than that. Remember, the U.S. was still a brand new country, recovering from the revolution and all. So this bank, it was a big step in stabilizing the economy.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. It created a unified currency, helped facilitate trade. It was the foundation for the whole system we have today.
So no drive-through or toaster giveaways,
Not quite.
but a huge leap for the nation.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, get this. Same date, January 7th, but now we're jumping to 1959.
A big jump.
The U.S. officially recognizes Fidel Castro's new government in Cuba. Seems simple, but
Oof. But there's always more to the story, right?
always. Especially during the Cold War. The U.S. recognizing a communist government right there, so close. That was a huge deal. Added to the tension between the two countries.
Yeah, definitely a turning point.
Okay, from finances to Cold War tensions, all on one day.
Crazy, right? Now let's talk elections. January 7th, 1789, the very first U.S. presidential election. And it took a whole month for the results to come in.
Wow, can you imagine the wait? I know, so different from today. Back then, news traveled by, horseback messengers, and all the ballots were handwritten.
It really shows you how technology, changed everything. Not just the speed of information, but our expectations, too. We expect things instantly now.
Right, totally. Our source mentions George Washington, our first president.
Of course.
Says he faced election fraud claims.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from a fictional opponent, a guy named Jedediah Trump.
Sounds like a political satire has been around forever.
Clearly. Okay, ready for something completely different?
Hit me.
January 7th, 1894. Thomas Edison.
Oh, famous inventor guy.
That's the one. He filmed the guy sneezing.
He filmed a sneeze.
Yep, and that sneeze became The Sneeze, the world's very first motion picture.
Wait, so the first movie ever was just the sneeze. That's wild.
It really is. It's like the Big Bang of cinema. All thanks to pollen.
Huh.
But why a sneeze? Why did Edison choose to film that?
Well, Edison was all about pushing boundaries, experimenting, always trying new things with his inventions. He had just invented this camera that could capture moving images.
The kinetograph, right.
Yes, and I guess a sneeze with that sudden movement, it was perfect to show off what the camera could do.
So to us, it seems random, but to Edison, it was like this high-tech demo. I bet the people watching The Sneeze back then, they couldn't have predicted what would come after. Silent films, CGI, blockbusters, all starting with a sneeze.
Incredible, yeah. Mind-blowing, actually. And think about it, back then, The Sneeze was the only movie out there, so it was the must-see event.
No Netflix to scroll through, just The Sneeze. Okay, speaking of things that have changed over time, January 7th, 1963, the price of a first-class postage stamp goes up from 4 cents to 5 cents.
A whole penny.
Right. It seems tiny now, but that little change tells a bigger story. Inflation. The value of money changing over time. It's crazy to think that something as small as a penny can be like a marker of these economic shifts.
Yeah, good point. It's easy to forget that even pennies have a history,
I know, I'm definitely guilty of just tossing them aside.
Yeah.
But you're right, they're a piece of history.
Yeah, pennies. All right, ready to move on?
Absolutely. Let's jump to birthdays.
Okay, sounds good.
We've got a pretty interesting group celebrating today.
Always fun to see who shares a birthday.
First up, Dougie. Doug, he's turning, get this, 55 today.
85.
I know. It's just something about it.
Yeah, it's got a ring to it.
Makes him memorable, right?
Sure.
All right, next up, Nicolas Cage, turning 61.
Oh, wow. Nicolas Cage. I wonder if we'll get another National Treasure movie. I loved those.
Me too. Those were so much fun.
He's a great actor.
He is.
Yeah.
He does it all. Action, drama. He can be intense.
Yeah, he's got this like unpredictable energy, always keeps you guessing.
In his career, it hasn't always been, easy.
Oh, right. He's had some financial troubles, hasn't he?
He has. Blockbuster hits 1 minute, then challenges the next. It's a good reminder that, even for celebrities, it's not always glamorous.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, next birthday. This one ties into a pretty big political moment. Donna Rice Hughes. She's turning 65 today.
Okay. Don't think I recognize that name.
Well, our source mentions her involvement in a scandal back in the 80s. It actually affected Gary Hart's presidential campaign.
Really?
Yeah. It's interesting how back then personal lives could really derail a political career.
It's still true today, right? But with social media now, it's like everything is amplified.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It makes you wonder how things would play out today with that story.
Definitely.
All right, another media personality, Katie Couric.
Oh, yeah, I know her.
She's celebrating her 68th birthday.
Happy birthday to her.
The source describes her as perky.
Perky.
Yeah, and they even give her credit for the phrase perky news.
Interesting. I mean, whether you like that or not, she definitely had a big impact on how the news is presented, right?
Oh, yeah, she was known for being approachable, making the news feel a bit less, serious.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've gone from banking to elections, early cinema, even postage stamps.
Plus all these birthdays.
All on January 7th. Pretty crazy, right?
It is, yeah. Makes you think, out of all this, what stands out to you the most?
Tough question. I'm drawn to those early innovation moments, like the Bank of North America opening. That boldness, to try and build something new.
I get that. It's inspiring, right? For me, I keep thinking about the sneeze. The fact that something so simple like a sneeze could start this whole industry. It's kind of poetic.
It is. It makes you wonder, what's happening right now that we'll look back on and be like, wow, that was the start of something huge.
Right, exactly.
Okay, we've got one more birthday before we wrap up our January 7th journey. This one is big, especially for fans of 80s music.
Ooh, I'm intrigued now. Who is it?
Kenny Loggins. He's turning 77 today.
Kenny Loggins. Wow. I bet he's still in the danger zone.
Huh. I see what you did there. That song is iconic.
Seriously. Tom Cruise and those aviator sunglasses. Instant 80s flashback.
Loggins' music was the soundtrack of a generation. Footloose, Danger Zone. All right. So many hits.
It's true. What's the secret, do you think, to making music that lasts?
Well, talent, for sure. Timing probably plays a role, too.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit of luck. But I think with Loggins, he captures a feeling, a specific moment in time.
You're right. It's that nostalgia, that energy. It still resonates today.
Yeah, it's true. His songs just take you back. So what's Kenny Loggins been up to lately? Is he still making music?
It's funny. We tend to focus on those big hits from the past, but it looks like he's been busy. He's actually put out several albums recently, even just a couple years ago in 2022.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he collaborated with some current artists, so he's not just, resting on his laurels.
That's really cool. Still pushing himself creatively?
Absolutely. And get this, he's still touring.
No way.
Yeah. Just finished a bunch of shows across the U.S. At 77, he's still rocking out on stage.
That's so awesome. It's inspiring to see that, artists who are still so passionate about their work.
It is. And it makes you think, how does someone stay at the top of their game for so long? Especially in an industry like music, which is constantly changing.
What's the secret?
Maybe a mix of things. Talent, obviously, but also resilience, adaptability, and maybe a little bit of that danger zone spirit, that drive to keep going.
Yeah, I like that. Well, he's officially on my list of artists to see live.
Definitely.
So before we wrap up our January 7th deep dive, I have a question for you.
Okay, shoot.
If you could hop in a time machine and go back to any of the events we talked about today, which one would you pick?
Oh, man. That's a tough one. There are so many cool options. I'd love to see the filming of the sneeze. Imagine being there for that. Or witnessing the opening of the Bank of North America. Those are big moments.
Yeah, totally.
But honestly, I think I'd choose something a little more, intimate. Maybe one of George Washington's first cabinet meetings.
Really? Why that one?
To be a fly on the wall, Seeing how the U.S. government was shaped right from the beginning. The debates, the decisions. It would be fascinating.
I can imagine those meetings were intense. Building a nation from scratch is no easy feat.
Right. And Washington leading all those different personalities, trying to find common ground. That would be amazing to see. Plus, The fashion.
Huh? The powdered wigs, the breeches. Can't forget the fashion.
It would be a sight. But yeah, for me, it's the ideas, the birth of a nation. That's what I'd be most interested in.
Well, I think we've both learned a lot about January 7th.
We have. It's definitely not just another day on the calendar.
So many unexpected connections, big moments, and those, like you said, more intimate moments that shaped history.
It all adds up. You know, it shows how history isn't just dates and names. It's about all these different threads coming together to tell this incredible story.
That's a great way to put it. It's been so fun exploring this date with you.
Likewise.
From banking and elections to the birth of movies and those political scandals, and of course, the birthday shout-outs.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. So, to our listeners, we'd love to hear from you. What event on January 7th would you want to travel back to?
Think about it. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into history.